So we have looked at the if statement and the if-else statement. Now we're going to take it one step farther with the if-else-if statement. Right here I have a program that has nested if statements, which hopefully you looked at the video and understand now. In this example, it's asking for a grade. It checks if that grade is greater than or equal to 90. If so, it tells you you have a grade of A. Else, let's see what other grade you can possibly have. Then it checks if a grade is greater or equal to 80. Then you got a B. Else, we check to see what other grades you can have, and if it's greater than or equal to 70, you got a C. Then this else can continue that nested, going down to the D and the F ranges. I stopped there I believe this will make the point. So you can see, if you're properly formatting your code, which you should be doing just like this, every time you start a curly bracket, you indent. Right, so there's another curly bracket, so I indented. Right, I started an if statement, so I indented. Right, you see it makes the code readable, but this can get nasty or pretty ugly looking because you're going to do the D and the C or indenting. You're probably going to end up way out here somewhere. Right, by the time you're done indenting. But what the language gives you is what's called an else if statement. Alright, so these statements in here will not execute. Right? Everything inside this else, unless this is false. Alright, so let's try and clean this up. So the else if statement, which is just that. Well, actually, before I do that, let's just run it and I'll show you that I can get all the way down to the C without seeing anything else. So I'll enter a grade that's greater than 70 but less than everything else. So we'll go with a 77. Right, and you see it tells you, whoops, gotta put that on the screen for you, sorry. Right, you see it tells you that it's a C. Alright, so let's clean it up, and this makes it a little bit more readable. We got the if statement now, the else if statement, and we'll put curly brackets around that. Alright, so else if a grade is greater than 90, we want to output that, and we really don't need, we'll put that there, and we'll clean this up a little. Alright, and our next if statement. So we're kind of combining the else and the if and pretty much eliminating our need for the else's, but there's still always a use for an else, as in this example will show. As I clean it up, continue to clean it up here. Oops, wrong bracket. There we go. And we don't need this one anymore. Alright, clean this guy up. Alright. There. Now, this will perform exactly the same thing. If grade is greater than or equal to 90, we will output that it's an A. If that is false, we come down now and it checks another condition. Right, and checks if the grade is greater or equal to 80. Then it outputs a B if it is. If it's not, then it comes down in here and checks this condition. If grade is greater than 90, it outputs that statement and skips all of this and comes down to whatever would be here. In this case, is the return statement is the next thing that would execute. Right, and same thing, if that's false, it comes here, and this is true, it outputs C out, but then jumps all the way down to here also, do the return statement. And if that's false, and this one's false, and this one's false, it will do the else. So this is kind of the catch-all. The else, again, is optional. Right? So I can leave this off, and if the grade is not greater than 90, and it's not greater than 80, and it's not greater than 70, like I put in a 65, there would be no output to this program if I was to take this out, which I'll show you just real quick here. Alright, there's the program running. We enter 65 and there's no output. Alright, with the else statement in there, then I would get the output saying that you have something below a C. Right, you have your grade is less than a C. Right, I'll run that again once I put that back in. Alright, so you see that it truly is optional. You don't have to have it in there, obviously, because it compiled and ran, so you don't have to have it in there. But now if I do the 65, it tells me I have a grade less than C. Alright, so that is the nested, or how to take a nested if statements and possibly convert it just to these else if statements. Not all of them will convert. but you can see it does clean it up from what we started with. A little more straightforward. You're checking the exact conditions you want, right? So works very nicely. Now if you remember the other example there, we were talking about the age and the male female type thing. So let's say I was checking male female here, and if I check here exactly for a male, right, the M, or here I have an else if female, the F, I do something, right, put out some statement, whatever I'm going to do. If it's neither one of those, you can have an else that says entered in the wrong male or female, right? Give them an error message or something of that nature, which is kind of what we can do here. You entered an invalid grade, right? Let's say I entered a -10, right? And I had the C, the D, and the F all broken out here. It doesn't fall in any of those categories. That means it's an invalid input. All right, so we can kind of do some validation of the input now. All right, so there's your else if, kind of cleans up code for you.